Oh, man. What is going on, everyone? If you missed pregame earlier, I am not Bill Matz. As much as I'd like to be Bill Matz, wouldn't we all like to be Bill Matz? But I am not Bill Matz. I am the assistant to the director of fun and games, Steve Jaco. I will be your host tonight. Bill's enjoying a rare and well-deserved night off from Flyers hockey. He missed a pretty good one tonight, though. So we got the Steve Squared night on PHLY, as my co-host for the evening is the great Steve Peters here, or Petey, as we like to call him, and it's helping avoid confusion here. But Petey, a heartbreaker tonight, as it looked like the Flyers won it, and the goal was called back, and then the Carolina Hurricanes won it. How we feeling?
Hey, you know what? I said this before the game. This is going to be a tough one to get 2 points out of. Getting a point in Carolina, which was, they talked about during the broadcast, one of the best home teams over the last 5 seasons. The problem you leave this one feeling a little sour about it is because you had the win. Like Brink puts it in the net. You think, oh my gosh, Brink's the hero. And here we go, getting the big win, splitting in Florida and Carolina, and then only to be disappointed. And I think that's why we feel so bad. Because overall, like, man, this is, again, we talk about baby steps. This was a step better than they played in Florida. As a 20-man unit, this was better than game 1. So again, you take your little positives. Got a point in Carolina. Take it, and let's get home to play Monday night.
That was a tough point. I mean, they got outshot by a lot in this game, 39-23, and I think it might be more than that. Did they end up? I mean, that's what the official box score is telling me. I feel like it might be 40
it's
or something.
39-24. It's 39-24. They just updated that one, 39-24. But I'll say this, Steve, and you look at the shots, and you're right. That first period they came out, it's 15 shots in the first period for Carolina, and Ersson is everything we said he had to do in this game. He did. He matched what Vladar did in game 1. He did in game 2. Fantastic. And then the second period, the shots were 12-12. And why were they so bad in the first period? Because the Flyers are sitting in the penalty box. Like, enough, uncle. Like, we play hard. And I'll tell you what, if you're on the bench or you're in the locker room and you're getting roughings, or you're being physical and getting those kind of penalties, that's one thing. But again, it's so many stick fouls, tripping, slashing. Like, that's the stuff that frustrates coaches, makes them go nuts, because you can't sit in the penalty box on those little ticky-tack stick things.
Right. Like, when Michkov takes a penalty in the third period, it's because he's standing up for his teammate, because I think it was Carrier who had that hit on Konechny that nobody liked. I know the broadcast team didn't like it. I didn't like it. And Michkov definitely didn't like it. So he gets a roughing penalty, and, obviously getting a roughing penalty in a tight game in the third period is a no-no, but you can at least forgive it a little bit because he's sticking up for a teammate. But those ones in the first period, they're just sloppy play from the Flyers, and it really could have buried them early. A lot of props to the penalty kill, and, Sam Ersson, it's a weird night for Sam Ersson, because if you just look at the score, you say, he let up 4 goals. How good could he have been? But if you look at the shot totals, I mean, that's a different story entirely. He has 35 saves on 39 shots. And as you mentioned in pregame, the Canes will shoot from anywhere and everywhere, and they did. And it's a game that I think could have gotten out of hand very early on, and it did not somehow. And a lot of props to the Flyers for hanging in there. We got a lot to talk about, but just let's talk about Sam Ersson a little bit, and just how he played tonight and the defense and everything.
Yeah, I think that was the key. And I was wondering where his mind was going to be after not starting in game 1. After, I'm sure the expectations were, hey, I'm the starting goalie here, I'm going to start game 1. And so I was wondering how he was going to start. I think it was very important that he had a good first period. And he, not only did he meet expectations, he blew them out of the water, because he killed those penalties. He made some absolutely phenomenal saves in the first period, and absolutely came to the test. And so now you look at his goaltending tandem, you go, Vladar was great, and now Ersson was great in game 2. I think Ersson should look calm. He looked steady. He took and sucked up so many pucks. He didn't give up the rebounds that Carolina usually feasts on. So yeah, I think Ersson's the number 1 star of the game tonight, and he was the best player for the Flyers, and that's tough because there's some pretty good players out there.
Oh, there are some really good players. I'm going to get to them momentarily, but just Sam Ersson, man, I really had some doubts coming into this game. I still have a lot of doubts, don't get me wrong there, but this was very encouraging. And I thought his best period was the third period because there were so many opportunities where it felt like the inevitable was going to happen.
Yeah.
Carolina was getting that regulation win no matter what, and they should have. They should have. They outshot the Flyers by a ton. They outplayed the Flyers for the most part. And Ersson had some huge saves in the third period when you really needed him to.
Yeah, and it is funny though. This game kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit because I think the Flyers they looked slow that first period. They couldn't get possession of the puck, and most importantly, they couldn't get the puck out. And we talked about how Carolina smothers teams through the neutral zone. I thought they did that to the Flyers in that first period, where the Flyers couldn't get out. They couldn't get out. They'd hold the blue line. It's right back at them, and that's why it was so important that Ersson played the way he did. But as this game wore on, the Flyers started to get their legs, started to get their confidence, and clearly it was led by the Cates line. But there was a lot more positive offensively tonight than there was against the other.
We got to talk about that Cates line because it doesn't. I want to get into the nitty gritty on the other guys, but that Cates line has had an unbelievable start to the year. There were times where they were just dominant tonight. And it specifically, Foerster looks good, especially for a guy who's coming off an injury and it didn't really play in the preseason much in training camp. So he looks really good for that. But Cates and Brink had unbelievable nights. Brink almost won the game for them in overtime. He probably should have if there hadn't been some goaltender interference. I guess before we talk too much about Brink, what's your take on the interference call on what would have been the winning goal for the Flyers?
This is hard because at first glance in live action, I go, okay, it was incidental contact and Anderson's moving to his right anyway. This one's going to count. But when they showed it overhead, and again, I go back to my old job of as a video guy, and this is what you do. You look at these plays, and the most important thing you have to do, and we talked about this before, Steve, before the show started, is you got to put your team loyalty aside. And you just got to look at this as team A versus team B. Unfortunately, it's goal interference. I mean, Sanheim goes into the blue paint. Wasn't pushed in, wasn't forced in. He had an opportunity. There was a lane outside the blue paint where he could have gone above the crease. So he clearly bumps into Anderson. I know Anderson puts his arm out to initiate contact, but I think he's just trying to block himself from rushing Sanheim. Unfortunately, it's the right call. And I know it's frustrating to hear that. But again, it's one of those opportunities that you're still seeing them getting pucks to the net and attacking in overtime. Like I think it's a positive. I know it's goalie interference, and I'm sorry. And by tomorrow morning, I think more fans will go, okay, yeah, you were probably right. We just really wanted it today.
Yeah, it's tough though. You always want to, I mean, I want to say this is BS. The refs are wrong. They're out to get us all the time, but it's nice hearing your perspective as somebody who isn't necessarily like Mr. Flyers. I mean, you can see my background here. I got full spectrum. I got Clarkey. I got Couturier, you know, I got some stuff. I got a gritty in back of my head, you know, I got some Flyers stuff. I'm very biased on this front. And by the way, I was too excited to get into it. So I have to give some quick shout outs real quick. This is PHLY Flyers presented by Bet365. And opening week is brought to you by Crooked T. We are live in the Xfinity Mobile studio talking about all things Flyers Canes tonight. So, you know,
got to get the business in, Steve. You got to check the business in. Buddy, we got to get paid.
We got to get paid, absolutely. And, you know, I'm not trying to embarrass Bill Matz out here, okay? I do that enough when I join him as a co-host. So got to get all those great plugs in. But let's go and let's talk about Cates and Brink. So that Cates, Brink, and Foerster line.
Yeah.
You want to talk, the Flyers only had 20, was it 24, the official shot total?
Got 20. Well, this is 23, but it's 24. Yeah. I don't know. 23, 24.
23, 24. Well, here's the thing. Of those 23, 24 shots,
yeah,
Brink had 4, Cates had 3, and Foerster had 3. So a lot of those shots came from one line. And those guys, I think a lot of it's chemistry because they played so much together last season and they're familiar with each other. They're comfortable with each other. I think it's also just a matter of having smart hockey players play with each other, and they all complement each other really well, where Noah Cates is just very intelligent out there. He gets to the hard corners. I really want to ask Charlie about this because Charlie had a great post on social media about this earlier. Foerster, obviously great defensive two-way game. He's a big body, can get in the corners, really helps the line with the physicality compared to the other two. Well, Cates is pretty physical too, but you know, And Brink is not a shy guy for his size, but Brink brings that offensive creativity to that trio. So what do you think it is about this line that makes them so special and we're so dominant tonight?
Well, let's face it, they've played together a lot last season. I think that helps the familiarity without question. But the difference is when that line's on the ice, they're moving. Yeah, and we talk about Brink, and one thing about Bobby Brink, he's not the biggest guy out there. He's not the most skilled guy. He doesn't have the best shot out there. But what he does do is he moves. Like his feet are constantly in motion, and he's working. And that line, as a trio, when they're on the ice, they're outworking their opponent. And right now, I don't know if you can say that about the top two lines for the Flyers. I don't know if you can say, gosh, they're outworking their opponent. So when Cates' line jumps over the boards, what you're going to get. They are going to work. And that's the hardest thing to play against in the NHL. When a guy's, and that's how Carolina plays all the time. Their feet are moving and they're right in your face all the time. When Cates is out there, it's all three of them. Like they're right there and their feet are moving and they're trying to create at the net. They're trying to get to the blue paint. And I think that's what makes that line so strong is they're moving their feet. They constantly have their motors going and they're trying to get to the blue paint.
Yeah, they really were moving all night. It was just a different game when they were out there. And there were so many times where they could have won the game late for the Flyers. And it's a testament to just how well they played. There's no way the Flyers take this game to overtime without those guys. They're just unbelievable. And I think to speak about the rest of the offense, these are guys that are still figuring out Rick Tocchet's system in a lot of ways. They're still figuring out their chemistry with each other. And I was hoping that it would be a big night for Couturier, Michkov, and Konechny. And Konechny did get an assist tonight, and Konechny had some chances for sure. But I was pretty disappointed in Michkov. I mean, they had a great chance early on, so I felt good about the line, like it was really going to show up. Michkov does not end up recording a shot on goal for the night, and that's not what you want to see from your budding young star. And again, it's the second game. I'm not like trying to raise any alarms or anything like that, but it's a bummer to see him not really be involved in this game to the degree you want him to be.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we talked about the lines getting jumbled with moving Dvorak back down a spot and thinking that maybe with TK up there with Michkov, you're going to build some kind of excitement, got a little more skill there. That line to me just brought nothing. And Michkov, honestly, no shots on net. You said that, but he just didn't have that. He didn't have that offensive spark. And you know what you said before the game, Steve? You said fun. I want to see that fun hockey. And I don't see it when that line's on the ice. It looks like they're in quicksand when that line jumps over the boards. And that's going to have to be resolved because Michkov's the guy. He's the guy for the future. So you're going to have to find a way to get him guys that he can be Michkov with. And right now, that's 2 games with Couturier. I don't know if that's it. Like, I don't know if I wouldn't be surprised if you see lines jumbling again before Monday night. I know you want to get that consistent. You're playing with the same guys over and over again. You find that comfortability. But at some point, too, you got to find the guy that Michkov fits with. That Michkov is like, okay, this is fun. I'm going to play. And everybody in Philadelphia wants to see it. You want to see zegras and Michkov together. I know it's a defensive liability, but at some point, you're going to have to see if the best players can be their best when they're playing together.
This is where I have a little bit of a problem with zegras because zegras so desperately wants to be a center. Yeah. And I think we all want him to work out as a center, but I kind of like to see Couturier between Michkov and zegras to see how that works out, because then again, Couturier can be your defensive guy. And that's what I was hoping Dvorak would do for zegras and Tippett. I don't know who Tippett works with right now, to be honest with you, but I do want to see. So to put the cap on the Michkov talk, I would really like to see Michkov with zegras sometime soon, but
you should be a coach, because that's actually, when you think about it, that's a really good idea. Because you got the skilled guys with the responsible defensive guy. Then you can move Konechny down, Dvorak in the middle of the ice, and maybe you can get something out of that. I like it. I put a call in. See if you can. All right. Don't know, maybe there's a job open on the bench. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll ring up Rick Tocchet. It's all new. I can just slide on in there and nobody will notice. Exactly. But Owen Tippett's one of those guys who I think we talk about a lot because he's frustrating and you and I were talking just before we started, and Tippett's one of those guys you just want to see him go off. He did get a goal tonight, and it was a power play goal. Unbelievably. What did you see the stat on our shared sheet here? Did you see it yet?
I didn't. I don't. I don't
So
even
when was the last time do you think Owen Tippett scored a power play goal before tonight?
the outdoor game last year in the fall, probably January, February.
March 2024.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It has been a while. And I mean, it's just good to see. The power play is an interesting experiment right now because obviously it was such crud under John Tortorella. It was just garbage. And it was very encouraging to see them score tonight. However, you look at that power play they got late in the game, which you're really hoping they embrace that and they can score and capitalize on that. That's the word I'm looking for. And they don't really do much on that power play. So overall, like Tippett, are you encouraged by what you saw tonight?
You know, it's hard. I really want to like Owen Tippett. I really do. And there were moments over the last couple of seasons where you go, okay, here's what he is. He can shoot from the flank. He can get to open areas. He's quick enough to get to pucks. He can do all of those things. And I think you saw it a couple of shifts today. They go, oh, okay, that's what Owen Tippett is supposed to be. The problem I have with Owen Tippett is it's not every shift. It's not every time he jumps over the boards that you know we're going to get. Like we just said, the top line for the Flyers right now, when they jump over the boards, you know where you're getting. Bobby Brink's going to work, and he's going to try to get the puck back. You know, Cates is going to drive the net. I'm not sure I know what Owen Tippett is yet this season, and I think that that's a problem because he's going to have to be a guy that's providing you offense. And now, hey, he gets the power play goal in this team. Last year, remember the power play last year or the year before? If they get a power play goal, I don't care if it bounces off the stanchion, hits the goalie in the back of the head. If it goes in, yay. That's a big win. But this power play is going to take time. That first unit, the second unit was better. Why? Because they play together as a 5-man unit. Well, this power play group right now is really inconsistent because they don't play together and they haven't played together and they haven't had the experience to play together often enough. There's not enough practice time. That's where that first power play group's going to need to get on the ice more, and they got to practice more because they look so disjointed. And Tippett's a part of that. They didn't set up and have that puck buzzing around with that first unit the entire night. And I want to see Tippett being more involved on the power play. I want to see him get more touches on the power play, but I want to see him get the puck more 5-on-5.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see him get the puck more 5-on-5. Best thing I saw from Tippett on that goal was just him being in front of the net, using that big body of his, which I don't think he uses his physical presence enough to get that rebound. Like, that's the big thing. He was in the position and took advantage of it. And if he does that more often, I think he's going to score a heck of a lot of goals in this league if he keeps doing that. So more of that, please, Owen Tippett.
Yeah, I agree. And you want to get that same mentality that you're talking about on the third group right now. You want to see that mentality float upwards to the top high-skilled guys that are still everybody's driving to the blue paint. And I think TK's got that in him. That's the kind of player. He's going to get his numbers. He's going to get his points. But you want to see it from that right side. You got like Michkov and Tippett and even Dvorak and Zegras. They're going to have to get more involved in this offense. It was better tonight than it was against the Florida Panthers. There's absolutely no question. They had more scoring opportunities. They got to the blue paint more. They had more shots. They actually had a shot on the power play. They had 3 of them. Last game, they didn't have any shots on the power play. So it's coming. And they got a point out of this. Again, I can't tell you that this is a good thing that they get a point against the Carolina Hurricanes, especially how hard the Carolina Hurricanes came out in that first period.
Yeah, absolutely. And, overall, you have to be encouraged by the fact that this team hung tough with 2 really tough opponents through the first 2 games. I mean, to take the Panthers and the Hurricanes and have 1-goal games with each of them I think that's really impressive for a team with a new coach that finished bottom 4 last year. And yeah, they're losses. I am aware of that, guys. Like I'm very aware of that, but ultimately, like, this is a good thing for this team to be hanging tough. And it speaks well to, we were really worried about the defense, how it would be without Brad Shaw and everything. And I would like to dive into all of this in a minute, but first we gotta give some love to our sponsors over here. Holiday steals are here at Ashley. It's the perfect time to get your home ready for the season and save big. From stunning dining sets for all your holiday feasts to super cozy sectionals, perfect for movie nights, we have everything you need to make this season magical. And the more you shop, the more you save, with up to 25% off store-wide. Or take advantage of our special financing with 5 years, no interest. Discover great deals in-store and online. only at Ashley. And I gotta talk about Bet365, okay? So I had 3 bets tonight, all right? We didn't hit Carolina doing -1.5. And that's a good thing for the Flyers because that means they hung tough. We almost got Travis Konecny for the 2+ points. He started off good, couldn't take it home for the rest. But you know what we did hit? We did hit that Shane Gostisbehere revenge point. So there you go. If you did the Shane Gostisbehere revenge point, he did get that on the overtime goal. So there you go. But whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide and live streams 780,000 events each year. With the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your Major League Baseball team goes 5 runs ahead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app and use PHLY365 when you sign up. And there's NFL offers throughout the season, guys. Thursday Night Football, $10 safety net bet. Love that one. Sunday Night Football, $365,000 jackpot. Place a $10 bet on the first touchdown score and get a split of $365,000 in bonus bets if your player scores the final touchdown of the game. It's payable regardless of if their first touchdown scorer bet wins or loses. Sunday Night Jackpot, guys. And Monday Night Football, 50% super profit boost token on same game parlays. Love that. And breaking news from Bet365, new customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And hey, in case you missed it, Ashley is back here and the holiday steals are here at Ashley. It's the perfect time to get your home ready for the season and save big. From stunning dining sets for all your holiday feasts to super cozy sectionals, perfect for movie nights, we have everything you need to make this season magical. The more you shop, the more you save with up to 25% off store-wide. Or take advantage of our special financing with 5 years of no interest. Discover great deals in-store and online, only at Ashley. All right, we're going to talk some Flyers now, gang. And let's go back real quick. So we talked about the power play and we mentioned how the one unit is still gelling with all the big names, but the guys that play together are 5-on-5, that Cates-Brink-Foerster line, they were crushing it on the power play too. They looked good all around. I mean, I just can't say enough good things about these guys tonight. And is this the best game we've seen Bobby Brink play, just period, for the Flyers?
I think this is a coming out game for Bobby Brink. And I think this is the Bobby Brink that I think the Flyers wanted to see. This is a guy, if he's on your third line, a guy like Bobby Brink, Noah Cates are your third line. Like, they're a third line on a good team. Not saying the Flyers aren't good, but they're on Eastern Conference Championship team. You could have those 2 guys on their third line. That's a really bright spot. Now you just got to get the guys that are supposed to be the top 6. They got to start pulling their weight. Yeah, I thought Bobby Brink was fantastic. I think that line can go out there in any situation. They can go out there on defensive zone draws, offensive zone draws, or the power play. Because when they were on the power play, they finally got the power play up, and they got to get to move the puck around. We didn't see that at all out of the first group. And I would expect, honestly, by Monday, I would expect that to be better. I would expect that top group to move the puck better again. Unfortunately, it's Florida again. Do we just play those 2 teams all year, Steve? Is that it? Florida and Carolina?
It feels like it, and that's purgatory right there, to have to just play Florida and Carolina over and over. I'm hoping that it's a fun one in Florida, in Philly against Florida, because the home crowd is just, we've been through so much from this team for so long now. And I don't know, these people just pay a lot of good money to go to these games, and we just want it to be fun and entertaining. And I'm hoping that the more they gel together, the more consistency we're going to see. And you just want to see these top guys hit. So you're pretty familiar with Rick Tocchet and just what he can bring as a head coach. How long do you think it's going to take for the non-Tyson Foerster, Noah Cates, and Bobby Brink guys to really catch up to speed with Tocchet's system?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because I think, you see in the comments that people are saying, well, it's not suiting Michkov's game. I don't know if that's true. Like, Rick Tocchet, when he coached the Vancouver Canucks, he didn't try to keep Elias Peterson from being Elias Pettersson. He didn't. I mean, you want your skill guys to be your skill guys. The one thing Rick Tocchet commands is you work hard. And that means both sides of the puck, 200 feet of the ice, you work hard. And that's why, honestly, that's why that third group's getting rewarded with more ice time, because they're playing the way that coach wants them to play. I think what you need to see is you need to see those top players getting on their toes and getting their motor going, just like we talked about with Bobby Brink. And that includes Zegras and Michkov. And Zegras is a guy that at times, we know he's got skill. You just want to see him move. And I will say this, defensively, Zegras looked better tonight. I thought he back-checked better. I thought he got sticks and lanes in the defensive zone. And he gets his feet. And when he starts moving forward, when he tries to drive the net, right now, Zegras gets over the blue line and he stops.
Yeah.
Well, then the play stops. Like, this team is going to be about playing fast and getting to the blue paint. Well, Zegras is going to have to find that gear to try to be defenseman wide, or he's got to drive the middle lane to pull the traffic with him to open up space in behind. I think that's what you're going to need to see out of those two. So how long is it going to take under Tocchet? I tell you today, Tocchet's going to go back to the film and he's going to talk about turnovers, and he's going to talk about defensive zone coverage assignments and how to read the rush stuff. I don't think offense will be 1, 2, or 3 on that checklist. But it'll take time for this group to come together and finally get the opportunities that they're supposed to be getting.
I was going to say, well, hopefully they just have a bad opponent soon that they can really showcase against, because that's a tough draw. Florida and Carolina to start with. And it's not going to happen this week, I don't think, because they have Florida again Monday, as we said. And then they have Winnipeg on Thursday, who, was just the best team in the league last year. No big deal. And then Minnesota on Saturday is not small potatoes either. I mean, Minnesota's a pretty good team. I think it's not until Seattle the following week that you really have an opportunity to maybe see a lesser opponent that this team can kind of let loose a little bit against. And it's going to be some rough sledding for the first few games, but I do think it's encouraging overall that they're hanging tough with these tough teams.
Yeah, a couple of things, though. The teams they're facing in the next 10 days aren't the teams they played in the last 2. And I know they're very good, and the Winnipeg Jets are very good, but they don't smother like Carolina and Florida. Minnesota absolutely doesn't. They have high skill, and Kaprizov's been great, and Boldy and Rossi are all playing very well, but they play differently. And I think if the Flyers can play the way they did in the second and third period, where they're getting their feet moving and getting to the blue paint, you might be surprised. I think they'll be able to hang with these teams. And when you're in a spot that the Flyers are in, but that's what you want. You want teams to be able to compete and be close in games. And I think you got that tonight. The Carolina Hurricanes, and you took them to overtime, and really you thought you had the game won at that time. So I as a Flyer fan, I'm counting this as a win. I'm counting this as a win in my column. This is exactly what I want to see from this Flyers team this early.
Yeah, it's really, it's going to be tough. And it's hard to explain to people that, this is a work in progress, because we don't want to hear that. We've seen such crappy hockey for 10, 15 years now that you don't want to hear any more excuses. You just want to see good hockey. And we're also excited just to hear about Trevor Zegras, right? Like shiny new toy. We want to see him do cool stuff. And we haven't really yet. He did get an assist tonight, which is really encouraging, but it's just not there just yet. I'd like to talk about the defense a little bit too, because interesting night for the defense. I think Travis Sanheim got that second goal was a tough one, where they turn over the puck in the offensive zone, which stinks, right? That's no good. But Seeler and Sanheim really hustle back on that. And I thought they had good coverage, but it was just a great play by the Carolina Hurricanes that beats them out for the goal. Overall, like, how do we feel about the defense? Ton of time. Travis Sanheim played almost 30 minutes tonight.
Yeah, Sanheim's going to carry all the workload right now. And I thought he was exceptional on both sides of the puck. I think he was trying to come in off the blue line, be active in the offensive zone. I thought he was around the offensive side of the puck, even in the overtime. The defensively, that rush read, that's tough. I mean, with Seeler and Sanheim, I thought they both played it pretty good. The problem was it's Taylor Hall driving down the middle of the rink. And Taylor Hall is one of the fastest, if not the fastest guy on the ice. That's a problem. I don't know how much better they could have played that. Sanheim was a foot behind Hall all the way up the ice, and he just couldn't get a stick on it. And Sears, it's a play he would have made. The one thing, again, we're going to say how exciting you are as a Flyer fan is what's coming ahead. York's out of the lineup. Ristolainen's out of the lineup. You add those two guys inside this D6 core, man, I think that's a good thing that this could be one of their strengths. So there's good and better days ahead defensively. And I don't think they were that bad. They had problems getting out of their zone at times. They turn pucks over trying to get out of their own zone. And at times they struggled in front of that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm looking at the box score right now. Travis Sanheim finishes with 29-34 on the night. And I mean, he really is a horse. Like, he's great. I think somebody just said that in the comments and I'm stealing it. I'm sorry. But, I thought it was a nice night for Sanheim. I thought that was a tough play. And it's hard to pin too many of those goals on Ersson ultimately, as tempting as you might be to do that. I thought just looking over the goals, right? Like, the first one, Stankoven, like really good play by a young player there. The second one we just talked about. What did you think about that Stahl goal where 37-year-old Jordan Stahl scoring another point against the Flyers? I think that made him they made the Flyers the top team he scored against. I think it was tied with the Islanders at 50, and then I put him at 51. If my math is right, it could be some fuzzy math, but Jordan Stahl, old guy who's just keeps on killing the Flyers.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that there's going to be a lot of guys that are happy when he's out of this league because he does that to a lot of teams. Right way and gets to the difficult areas and makes plays like he did tonight. That again, that started off a turnover by Konechny in the neutral zone, and then the play comes back at you. And I thought Yenning could have played that one a little bit better. I think he goes at the puck, he starts or instead of staying with the guy that he had and he was defending against all. I would have liked to have seen Yenning stay with him, but again, that's a young mistake. And Yenning's guy probably not steal the ice when everybody gets healthy again. But I think you're up against a player like that. You got to stay tight with him, stick with him, and defend him a little bit better.
Yeah, and you forget about things like that, like Yenning's in there, and Yenning is such a young player that is just you forget how many young guys are in here. But all right, PD has to drop for a second, but guess what? We got Philadelphia's #1 Flyers beat writer coming in here. It's our very own Charlie O'Connor joining us in the Xfinity Mobile call-in line. What's going on, Charlie? How are we feeling tonight?
Feeling okay, I guess. It was definitely an entertaining hockey game, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was definitely an entertaining game. It looked like we had it. It looked like the Flyers had that winner in overtime. Then it gets called back for the interference call. And still very entertaining overtime period. What did we think about the Flyers just hanging in there against a tough Carolina Hurricanes opponent who put up nearly 40 shots on them?
Yeah, I don't think the Flyers outplayed the Hurricanes. Obviously, the Canes, as usual, rack up a ton of shots. They dominate the shot counter, but that's just what they do. They're going to do that to pretty much everyone. I thought the Canes were the better team, but I thought the Flyers were very resilient. They hung with them. I thought they got outplayed dramatically in the first period. They find a way to come out of the first period with a lead. So, hey, that's what the scoreboard says. So you bank that goal. But I think it's worth pointing out, too, that this is not the ideal Flyers team. They're obviously shorthanded on defense. You don't have Cam York. You don't have Ristolainen. I think the Flyers are hoping that York will be back this upcoming week. So it's not like he's going to be out forever. And Ristolainen, while he's out for a bit to start the year, he went on the trip. I think he will be back at some point, probably sometime in November is my guess. So these were games that you kind of had to survive, despite the fact that you're playing with half of your defense is not particularly impressive on paper at the very least. And to hang with the Canes in this game, a road game when your defense is undermanned, and obviously the Canes are the best team in the Metropolitan Division, with Florida going through their injuries, you could certainly make a case that they're the best team in the East, given the fact that the Canes did get to the conference final last year. So you could make that case. And to go into Lenovo Arena, get a point, acquaint yourself well. I don't think there's much you can be angry about their overall performance. You can certainly be frustrated with that call, though, at the end of the game, because it's one of those where I think it's the right call by the letter of the law, but I think by the spirit of the law, it seems very unfair because, yes, Sanheim does barely cross through the crease, and they are calling that very tight, where if a player goes through the crease, it almost doesn't matter what the goalie does. It's going to get called for interference. But watching the play, it's so obvious that Anderson initiated that contact. And I don't know if that was intentional on his part, knowing that, hey, once he goes through the crease, I can do whatever I want and I'm going to get the interference call, or if it was just instinctual. Like, I don't know if he was thinking that far ahead in the moment. My guess is it was instinctual, but it's hard to be happy with a call like that when it's so clear that the guy who benefited from it was the guy who made it possible in the first place, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that should have been a capstone on a just brilliant night from Bobby Brink. Maybe his best night as a Flyer. He was just everywhere. 4 shots on goal. As it turns out, he had a goal, and he's just a guy that we often seem to question what his role is on the team in the future. Just a great game from him tonight. What did you think of Brink's game and just his overall, I don't know, Bobby Brinkness?
The overall Bobby Brinkness is quite Bobby Brink, indeed. No, he looks great. I think him and Noah Cates are both off to absolute fantastic starts this season. Not to say that Tyson-Foerster hasn't been an important part of that line. He has. He's a really, really smart player, wins battles, helps create chances. But Cates looks so much more offensively assertive, especially around the net. He's taking pucks to the net. He's taking shots. He's warding off checkers. He just looks less like a support guy and more like a driver. And then Brink, I'll tell you, it's wild to think that one of the main reasons why he fell out of the first round in his draft year was because people questioned his skating. I know it's a weird skating stride. He doesn't have the most textbook stride, but he's legitimately quick now. And every year he's gotten faster. And you're seeing it to start this year. I mean, he's got jump. He's breaking away from defensemen. He's creating space for himself. Like, he might be developing into a legitimate puck carrier, which is a very intriguing thing for a guy. Look, we always knew Bobby Brink was going to have skills in the offensive zone, but if he's a guy who now can push the play through the neutral zone too, that opens up a whole new round of possibilities for his all-around upside, and it's really exciting. I talked to Sam after the game, and I asked him about Bobby Brink, and you could tell he was just like, yeah, we don't know what happened to this guy, but he looks awesome. Like, Sanheim's pumped at what they're seeing for Bobby Brink, and how can he not be? He looks like a great player so far this year.
It looks fantastic. And Petey was talking about just how he keeps moving his legs out there. He's just always moving and hustling, which is fantastic to see. And we were just talking about Cates, right? And you had posted in the second period, it's early. It may just be a hot start, but Noah Cates so far looks like a guy who could be in the midst of a level up. Why do you think Cates looks just so good this early in the season?
He just looks more confident. He looks like a guy. They tried to get it out of him a little bit 2 years ago, where, you know, he had the impressive rookie year where he was functionally the 1C because they really didn't have any other centers. And I remember talking to him before the following season, and he was saying, you know, I want to show that I can be an offensive threat. I'm not just a defense guy. I can score. And then that season ended up being a total disaster. So then last year, he kind of went back to like, all right, I'm going to go back to my bread and butter. I'm going to be, you know, the tight checking, do the little things guy. And then eventually he gets on that line with Brink and Foerster, and they're off to the races. It almost seems like this year he's going back to what he wanted to try to do in year 2, but now maybe his foundation is better. And you're getting the guy he wanted to be in year 2 in year 4. That's really exciting because this guy, like, I'm not saying that Noah Cates is going to be a point per game player. I don't think that's going to happen. But this guy certainly looks like he can blast past 40 points with ease. Like, he is not the support guy on that line. Because there were a lot of times last year, like, he would pick up secondary assists by, like, winning the battle along the boards. And not to say those aren't important, but it was more of a support type role. This year, I mean, he's the one making the plays that directly lead to chances and goals. And even the power play goal the Flyers get, like, yeah, Case doesn't get a point on that, but he's the guy who draws the penalty to get the power play in the first place. He challenges the guy up at the point, forces the turnover, and then speeds around them and forces them to drag him down to call a penalty. Like, that's what a guy who's making a direct impact versus a guy who's just making life easier for his line mates. That's the difference. And I think that's been the big thing I've seen, is that he's making a direct impact rather than just making everyone's life easier. And that could be the level up that he's having. He wants to be assertive. He wants to control play, and it's exciting.
That's awesome. And it's great to see somebody embrace the challenge and embrace that opportunity in a way that, like, Kolosov last year, he has a chance to really jump in and say, like, okay, I can be the guy at this team. Doesn't do it. Ersson, any of the goaltenders last year, whatever. But you see one line that's just crushing it. Okay. Guys that are really just playing at the top level. But then you see guys who are just getting into the lineup, and Grabenkin and Luchenko finally get to play tonight. Grabenkin was able to get an assist. How do you think the young guys played tonight?
I really liked Grabenkin's game. He gets the secondary assist on, I guess it was the Brink goal, right? He's going off the ice. He's at the end of a shift, and he just does a nice little play up near the blue line to keep the puck alive, get it back down there to Brink and Cates, let them do their magic. But I really liked what he was doing on the boards. He had one really nice zone entry where he just kind of dangled through a guy. I'm like, man, I didn't know he had that in him, but he does have good hands in traffic. He's the kind of guy where, and this is a skill. This is an important skill for hockey players. Some guys are great stick handling through cones. He's great stick handling when he's under checking pressure. Like, look, he's not going to be doing Michigan's, I don't think, or anything like that, but it's functional puck handling ability, and it seems like he has functional puck handling ability, especially in the offensive zone and along the boards in the defensive zone, trying to dig pucks out and get pucks out of the D zone. I really like Gurbenkin's game. I actually, at times, I toyed with making him my third star. Then Sanheim gets the game tying goal and nearly assisted on the game winning goal, and it was like, well, he's definitely one of my three. So sorry, Nikita, you only got like 11 minutes of play. I can't make you my third star, but I thought he had a really good game. Luchenko's game was mixed. I thought the first maybe 25, 30 minutes were kind of rough. Obviously, he didn't get a ton of ice time, and we could talk about that. But after, there was one entry where he kind of got knocked off the puck by Shane Gostisbehere, which is like, look, I love Shane Gostisbehere, but he probably shouldn't be knocking you off the puck. That's not really his game. Then he had the bad turnover on the transition goal, and it was like, ooh, this is not a good night for Luchenko. But then after that, I thought he settled in. I thought they had a few really good shifts in the offensive zone, some good cycles. He was making some nice passes, so didn't have a ton of ice time to work with. And look, that's something they're going to need to address, where if he's only getting 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes a night, like, they're going to have to send him back, because that's just not worth his time. But you can keep him up for now. Maybe he'll earn more ice time. And if he looks more like the guy from, let's say, like the second half of the second period into the third, that guy might be able to earn more ice time. The guy from the beginning portion of the game, though, probably not.
Yeah, definitely an agreement there, but fantastic game for Gurbenkin. Really like what I see there. We have makings of a solid bottom sixer right here, and that's very exciting. So I talked about the goaltending a little bit before. Vladar got the start against the Panthers, seemed to be pretty steady in that game. Ersson gets a tough draw against the Hurricanes tonight. How do you think Sam did in his season debut?
I thought Sam was good. He got a lot of praise from his teammates. I think both Bobby Brink and Travis Sanheim specifically pointed him out as having a really good game. I thought Ersson was strong. Plus, like, even we're talking about the game-winning goal, and Ersson even admitted this, and he's like, look, no excuses, but it's tough when your whole team thinks you win the game. They had guys walking off the ice. Like, they had to call guys back onto the ice because they all thought they'd won the game, and then you have to reset and play another minute. Like, goaltending is such a mental position. I'm sure that was really hard for him to refocus when, like, he's finally just able to let his shoulders droop a little bit, like, yes, I can relax, and then I have to go back out there and make a high-danger save. So I'm not even going to pin that on him, but look, Carolina is the kind of team where they do get a lot of scoring chances, but they don't get a lot of, like, holy crap, that's a really tough shot to stop scoring chance. They just flood you with volume. And I thought Ersson did a really good job of just staying steady and battling through traffic when he had to. I thought he did, generally speaking, a pretty darn good job with rebound control, which is another way the Canes like to score their goals. They're just throwing tons of shots at you. So, hey, some of them are going to get up back in the slot, back in the crease, and they're going to try to knock them in. I thought Sam had an all-around solid game. I'm sure he finishes with a really good save percentage. I don't have that up in front of me right now, but given the sheer
close
number
to
of shots, okay, it wasn't as good as I necessarily thought, but hey, 30, so he faced 39 shots. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I think Ersson was good in this game. I don't think he was incredible. There was only one save. He had a really good save on Ehlers where the shot gets blocked and bounces right to Ehlers, so he's already moving. Then he has to reset and immediately stop the Ehlers shot. That one stuck out to me as a particularly good save. But I would say overall, strong performance. Honestly, they got good performances from both Ersson and Vladar in these first two games. So as bad as the Flyers goaltending has been the past couple of years, pretty much since the exit of Carter Hart, so far, off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, definitely encouraging right there. They didn't do many favors with all the penalties they took in the first period. I mean, what was it? 4
That's
penalties taken, I think 3 penalty kills they had to go on. And it's just, is discipline a problem under these Rick Tocchet Flyers to start, the early coaching career here?
It's tough to say. I mean, objectively speaking, they're taking too many penalties. So I guess the actual answer is yes, so far discipline has been a problem. I'm not necessarily expecting it to stay a problem. It's the early season. Guys are sloppy. Guys aren't, playing at their sharpest. And what results from that are penalties. They did clean it up, I felt like, for the most part after the first period. Michkov takes a penalty that I don't think anybody's going to complain about. Travis Konecny takes a what I'll call a borderline hit, and Michkov goes after the guy. I'm sure his teammates appreciated that one in a big way. It's just something that you do. And then the guys go out and they kill your penalty, and that's what they did. But the penalties in the first period, you're right. They need to be more disciplined. It was something they struggled with in the second period of game one as well, when you had those back-to-back penalties. I think it was Zegras and Dvorak who took them. Yeah, they need to clean that up, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's something that I am zeroing in on as this is a major problem. It's an early season problem. I expect that they will resolve it, but yeah, they're taking too many penalties so far, undoubtedly.
Last question before we get to your 3 stars. The Flyers got a rare power play goal tonight, and Owen Tippett in particular. Thoughts on the power play tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, that power play was a pretty quick one. The one they scored on. Zegras gets wins a faceoff, which, hey, Trevor Zegras winning faceoffs. Love to see that. And then he has a really nice pass. The one thing that I liked about the power play, even on the ones they didn't score, I liked. And this seems like it probably is an intentional thing. It's a system thing. It's a system change, and I like it a lot. They're using, so they got Zegras more or less in that bumper spot, but they're not using him the way, I'm thinking back to the Giroux power plays where you had, Braden Shen in the middle, you had Sean Couturier in the middle, and their only job really was to just blast one-timers. They were basically just decoys and there for Giroux to find for one-timers. Zegras in the bumper is doing a lot of handling of the puck, and I think that's a really, really good thing for opening up space for the guys on the flanks that we haven't seen the Flyers do in a long time. Like, when I saw that they were putting Zegras in the middle, I'm like, I don't know. Is that really a good spot for him? But he's making plays with the puck there. He's handling the puck. Then he'll pop out for a little bit, but he's facilitating from the center of the ice. And that's something that a lot of the really good power plays in the NHL do. So I like the fact that they're opening the door for that to be more of a factor in their power plays. Now, look, we'll see if it holds. We'll see if it's something that, maybe Zegras gets moved off that spot and then the bumper doesn't do much at all. Maybe it's more a function of Zegras being there more than anything. Like, he's a puck handler, he's going to handle the puck. But I have to believe that at least a bit of it is strategic, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain with the results. They actually scored a power play goal, and I think it was the first for Owen Tippett since March 2024. So yeah, it's been a little bit.
Well, before I get to the 3 stars, I did want to talk a little bit briefly about Michkov. I don't know if you guys did in the early part of the show.
We talked a little bit, but I'd love to hear more about Michkov.
Yeah. So he doesn't get a shift in overtime. Finishes with it looks like he finished with what 13:27 of total ice time. So not that much. He had a really bad turnover near the end of regulation. It was just kind of like a lazy pass, goes right to a Canes player. He doesn't see the ice again after that play. Now, the Canes obviously don't score on the play. It still goes to overtime. But it seems like that was probably the last straw from Tocchet. I asked Tocchet after the game why. I asked him, did it have to do with the turnover? And he basically said, I just went with the guys that were skating. So, we lost John Tortorella, but Rick Tocchet's going to be he's going to be demanding of Matvei Michkov. So that's I don't think going to rub a lot of people the right way, but we'll see how it goes. We just got to game 2 before we got a mini Michkov benching. So don't think I would have had that in my over and under, but hey, Tocchet's going to coach.
Oh boy. I mean, it's also a tough couple games to start. I mean, you've got Florida, Carolina, Florida again, Winnipeg, just a brutal start to the season right there. But great insight on Michkov there. Thank you for sharing. So it is time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game, presented by Ashley. Charlie, star number 3.
Yeah, star number 3, I'm going to go with Sam Ersson. I think he was strong. I could have easily gone with Noah Cates here because I think Cates had a really good game, but it was more of an eye test game for Cates. Like, you had to watch him to see that he was really, really good. Ersson is, one different call from the situation room away from having a really good statistical game. But I think overall, look, the Canes were the better team tonight. They had more shots. They had more chances. They had a lot more puck possession. This game goes into overtime. Probably the biggest reason for that is Sam Ersson held down the fort. Was he perfect? No, but he was good. He was good. And when I'm struggling with a decision on who should be especially like a third star, I tend to go with like Ty goes to the guy that the players in the room seem the most excited about. And guys in the room were very, very complimentary of the work that Sam Ersson did. And you know what? They're on the ice. That's good enough for me. Sam Ersson, third star.
You gave him a chance to win. That's all you can really ask for. Star number 2.
Star number 2, I'm going with Travis Sanheim. Look, he scores the game tying goal. Very much could have gotten the primary assist on the game winning goal, depending on how that call goes. And he's again getting flooded, saddled with so much minutes. I mean, he's the guy who's taken on the load. He has 38 shifts in this game, 28-57, so nearly plays 30 minutes. He is getting piled on in this early season, and he's making an impact. Again, wasn't perfect. He actually pointed out when we talked to him after the game that on one of the goals, I have to go back and look at the tape just to decide which one it was. But he kind of was in the wrong spot in the offensive zone, which made it so he was out of position for the transition rush, didn't quite get back in time. But then on the game-winning goal, he was in the right spot in a similar play, and that's why he's able to blast that one past Freddie Anderson. Look, Sanheim is going to have to carry this defense at least until York is out, and I think he's doing a darn good job of it. Second star.
Yeah, I thought he had a great game, and I think that was the Hall goal, the second goal that he had that gaff on, because he was caught getting back to the net just in time for it to go in. But great pass on that goal too. So what are you going to do? Star number 1.
Star number 1 is obviously Bobby Brink. I think, can we call this a 1 goal with an asterisk game? I think that might be the way I'll put it in my post game column, because he basically scored 2. Obviously, the second one doesn't count, but hey, it counts in our hearts. Bobby Brink was fantastic in this game. And look, I think Noah Cates was great on that line as well. I thought those guys were the 2 big drivers of the line. Again, not to denigrate Tyson Forrester's contributions, but I just thought like those 2 guys popped a little bit more. Look, Brink was flying in this game. He was making plays. He was carrying the puck. He was creating chances. That the 1 goal he scores was on a snipe of a shot. Like, yeah, he's in a good position, but that's a goal scorer's goal. Like, that is not a like putting the puck into an open net because of a great passing play. He beat Freddie Anderson clean. And I don't remember Bobby Brink doing a lot of that in his first few Flyers seasons. He scored goals, sure, but he was more of a playmaker. And a lot of his goals were more, slam dunk goals rather than, oh man, he just rocketed that puck past the goalie. And that's exactly what he did here. Bobby Brink was great in this game. It's a real bummer he doesn't get the game winner, because like this game deserves to be remembered as the Bobby Brink game, and instead it's going to be remembered for the overturn and then obviously an overtime loss, and becomes more of a moral victory than an actual victory. But like, Bobby Brink should be leaving this arena with his head held high. He was great tonight.
He was great. Best game yet as a Flyer for Brink?
I'd have to go back and look. I mean, it's the best one I can remember off the top of my head. I feel like he's had a couple other games where he scored, multiple points, multiple goals. So I'd have to think about it. But I mean, we're only 2 games in. Certainly his best game of the year, and he was pretty darn good 2 nights ago. So hey, nowhere to go but up, Bobby, I guess.
I guess so, but I suppose dominant game I can remember him having. But thank you so much, Charlie. Much appreciated.
You got it. Soon. Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, gang. Well, before we get back to the Flyers talk, we got to read about our friends over at Xfinity. So the other day, I'm over at a friend's place. He's pumped to watch hockey, to watch the ice sport, but his setup, it's a total mess. Lagging, buffering, switching between apps trying to find the game. He claimed he was a big fan, but I feel like I've been fan-fished. See, if you call yourself a full-blown hockey fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can watch the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way I watch, next level. It's the perfect fan flex. I've got all the action right in my living room. Plus, Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, so clear it feels like I'm in the arena. Sometimes I've got 4 games going at once, because why not? On top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. And let's talk about Rothman Orthopedics. Whether it's a sore knee, stiff shoulder, or nagging back pain, Rothman Orthopedics is here to help you get back to the life you love. Their team of specialists treat all kinds of orthopedic issues, from everyday strains to long-term joint pain, with care that's efficient, effective, and close to home. Rothman's 190-plus fellowship-trained physicians specialize in specific areas of the body and a multitude of orthopedic services, including hip, knee, spine, shoulder and elbow, foot and ankle, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation, orthopedic oncology, and trauma and fracture care. Rothman Orthopedics is proud to be the official team physicians for the Philadelphia Phillies, as well as over 40 college and high school teams, including Drexel University, St. Joe's University, and Villanova University. Don't let pain keep you sidelined. Schedule an appointment today at rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility, our mission. And real quick, Flyers road trip. Ready for the ultimate Flyers getaway. PHLY and Philly Sports Trips are taking the diehards west for the California takeover with Flyers legend John LeClair. From March 17th to the 22nd, we're hitting the West Coast for 2 huge games. First, the Ducks at Honda Center, the Anaheim Ducks. Then the LA Kings at Crypto.com Arena. Your package includes optional round-trip direct flights from Philly, a 5-night stay at the beautiful Sanborn Santa Monica, group tickets to both games, a Flyers watch party, and an exclusive meet and greet with Johnny Vermont himself, John LeClair. Plus, the Philly Sports Trip crew will be there to handle every detail so you can just enjoy the sun, the sights, and the hockey. This is the California vacation every Flyers fan dreams of, with a couple wins to top it off. Spots are limited. Book your trip today at allphly.com/events. Petey, what's going on, my guy?
I don't know. I think the chat nailed it. Mellerman said I need Xfinity, and he's probably right.
Mellerman knows what's up. Mellerman
is on top of it. It's a little bit of issue, but it's good. It's interesting listening to Charlie because he's got a different perspective because he's inside the building, and I think it's this mini Michkov issue. We'll wait and see. And I will say this before we start piling on Rick Tocchet. Michkov has 2 shots through 2 games. He has no power play shots in 2 games. Like we need to see what Bobby Brink is doing out of Michkov. If he gets his wheels moving like Michkov is doing, like Brink is doing, maybe I think we'll see more out of Michkov. So let's put some of the onus on the player, not just the coach. Just saying. Michkov's incredibly talented. And one of the things he's going to do now, we talked about Zegras being in that bumper position on the power play and feeding pucks on the flanks. Well, the problem last year on the flanks was Michkov and Konechny at times were switched on the wrong side. They were on their one-time side. The power play changed every 5 minutes. It was a mess. This time, just stay consistent. Leave Michkov on the right, leave Konechny on the left, and let them shoot off their one-timers. It's going to happen, and Michkov's going to get out of this. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, like, you get impatient, right? It's the old, like, I want to get to the fireworks factory right now. But we just want to be there, right? We all do.
We want Zegras and Michkov to take off. That's what we want. I want to see Zegras. I don't care if he's Michigan from behind the net. Just want to see him scoring. I want to see some of the highlight stuff he did 2 seasons ago. And we all do. And Michkov, we know it's there. Like, we've seen it. So we just, okay, 80 to go. It's going to be okay, Steve. It's going to be okay. It's like I said, these are the 2 best teams, or 2 of the teams that are going to be there when all the dust settles in the Eastern Conference. There's no question that Florida and Carolina are going to be there. They were the number 1 and 2 shooting teams in the Eastern Conference last year in shots on goal per game. And so when you're taking out the multitude of shots that they've faced in the last 2 games, it's not going to be like that every night. It's not going to be like that for the entire season. They do get to play other teams, just not yet, because Monday they get Florida.
Listen to this stretch. Like, so after I was talking about it before, because it's Florida, Winnipeg, Minnesota for the next week, right? But after that, we could have some actual fun.
Yes.
And you know what? I think before we talk about the actual fun, I got to announce it's time. We are headed to overtime, folks. So
we're going to overtime too, just like the game.
Just like the game, we're headed over to overtime. So go over to allphly.com to watch the rest of the show. And yeah, the schedule gets a lot easier after a certain point. And I know those were cursed words for the Philadelphia Eagles, but hopefully that's not the case for the Flyers. So it's Seattle on the 20th. Then they have Ottawa on the 23rd. The Islanders on the 25th. Oh, wait, am I looking at? Yeah, I'm looking at October. Yeah, and then Pittsburgh, and then Nashville. Like, it is, the drop in quality of opponent is drastic. So we might have to have a little patience while we're complaining about the team to see what they actually look like against competition a little bit more their level, because they are Rocky and Rocky 1 currently, okay? Apollo Creed way above Rocky's weight class, and he hung in there. So can Rocky actually beat, I guess, Thunder Lips, the wrestler that Hulk Hogan played in 3? Is that the competition here? I don't know. But that's a real thing. In Rocky 3, Hulk Hogan.
I'm sure it is.
The film opens up with Hulk Hogan as Thunder Lips, and Rocky is boxing him and he is wrestling. It makes no sense. Quite a movie. But yeah, I think we have to get to that point to see who this team is.
But the other thing with the schedule, though, too, Steve, the other thing you got to look at is, and Charlie hit it too, is you got to practice. Like, you're going to get 2 days off between games. The 14th and 15th are off. The 21st, 22nd are off. The 26th, 27th are off. You have 3 sets of 2 days off in the next 2.5 weeks. That's almost unheard of in the NHL. So that's going to give this team an opportunity to work on the power play, to work on some plays down low, to try to get the pucks to the net, to get those little kinks out and get these lines familiar with each other that haven't had the opportunity to play with each other a lot. So I think that even though the schedule, you're right, I think it does lighten up. I think there are some winnable games here coming up, but more importantly, they're getting the opportunity to practice. And I know how important that is to fix the problems. You got to have practice to fix problems. You can't fix things if you're not getting on the ice. So I think those 2 days off between games coming up over the next few weeks are going to be just as big as the opponents starting to get a little bit more down to earth for the Philadelphia Flyer team.
Well, and we all know in Philadelphia just how important practice is. Not a game.
Practice?
Not a game. Practice. We're talking about practice here, Petey. Come on. All right, folks. Well, we're going to wrap it up soon. But before we do, let's get to those super chats. Let's go do it. All right. First off, we got our friend Timbo Slay says, yes, goaltender interference when a goalie literally shoves a player with his arm and the player is charged for it.
Yeah. I don't know. We're not in the room.
Yeah.
They're frustrated.
It's frustrating for sure. Because I think my biggest frustration, and this came up when we were talking to Charlie, is like, we could be talking about the Bobby Brink game. We could be talking about just a thrilling ending for the Flyers and just good vibes, right? An early season win over the Hurricanes. You feel a lot better about this team than we were, less than a week ago. Even after we were all feeling bad on Thursday because of the whole Philly sports scene overall, but losing 2-1 to Florida,
Steve, it was going to be us then. We were going to be undefeated as a tandem on the PHLY show. And then I was going to take full credit. I was, but it didn't happen.
I think so. Tyler's producing tonight, and Tyler and I did the Columbus game last season where Owen Tippett went ham at the end of the game. I think he had 4 points, so it would have been the combo we could have added. Yes. It could be like a trinity here, but sadly, it is not to be. And then Tyler, what else we got super chat wise? Oh, and Tyler pointed out we're 2-0 together. We had the Ducks game too. So that's right. We did have the Ducks game. So
no regulation. You have no regulation losses yet.
That's true. We're 2-0-1. All right. There we go.
Yeah, I'm 0-1 to start my PHLY post-game career. I'll take it.
Hopefully we'll do a lot more. We'll see a lot of wins in that time. Gary B, our old friend Gary B, I disagree with the goalie interference call in the overtime. I mean, Gary, I don't like it. No, sir. I don't like it. Yeah.
I don't know what we can say about it. I mean, you even saw Brian Boucher change his mind after he saw it a few more times. Nobody likes it. You thought it was with the momentum, but by the letter of the law, he's in the crease and he bumps the goalie. So I know Anderson puts his arms out and hits him, but he's still in the blue paint. So it's too bad. But better things. There's 80 to go. And things are going to be looking up. What we've said, Steve, from the beginning of this season for the Philadelphia Flyers is you want to see steps going forward. That's all. You want to see improvement in individual players. You want to see improvement on things like the power play. You want to see improvement between the pipes. You want to see improvement in defending. You want to see their goals against go down and their goals for go up. All of those little things are going to happen over time. I really believe that. I think this team already looks better at times than we saw at times during the season last year. So I'm encouraged by what happened tonight. I know it's a tough loss in overtime, but I think there are some encouraging things that you're starting to see. Hey, this could be a fun year. Playoff year? Fun year, yes.
Fun year is what I'm asking.
That's all we want, Steve.
Upgrade next year. I just want to have fun watching hockey. Is that so much to ask for? All right, Petey, we're going to sign off. Any final thoughts about this game or the Flyers in general?
No, I think this is an opportunity. You saw that third line with Cates and Brink really take a step forward again over these last 2 games. Now it's time for the other top offensive players on this Philadelphia Flyer lineup to do the same. And it needs to start on Monday. And that means Zegras and Michkov and Konechny need to pick up their game and be more involved in the offense going forward in the next week.
All right. Well, thanks, Petey. I mean, you've given us some great insight tonight, and make sure just check out those PHLY episodes and Petey's on. He's doing fantastic work for us.
Thanks, Steve. Oh, right back at you, Steve. This was fun. I had a really good time on this post game. I was going to complain that it's late, but I'm actually on the West Coast. So it's only 8:00, even though it's late for me.
We're hitting 11:08 here. We got to get going. On the old Steve. Dusty trail here.
You did a great job as the commissioner of fun. You did a really good job today. So I had a lot of fun jumping on with you. So hopefully we get a chance to work together again soon.
Hopefully. But thank you again, Petey, and thanks to Tyler for producing, and thanks to everybody for watching tonight. Be sure to give us the old like over there, and hey, until next time, go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.